Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, I had a voice of radio. So today, we're going to be looking at the 5 best special energy cards that we have ever had in the Pokemon trading card game. Now, this video was suggested by the lovely AJ Brass over at my Patreon, patreon.com/PTCGRadio. If you go onto the highest tier of that particular Patreon, you can go, hey, Wassy, make me this video, yeah? Go make a video, Wassy, and you can tell me what video to make. And AJ Brass said, Wassy, I want something about the history of special energy. Now, I'm going to be bringing you a video shortly showing you every special energy we've ever had. I like to be a completionist like that. But we're going to start off today by digging through the best special energy that we have ever had. Now, just a quick side note to begin. Pokemon that provide energy, I'm not counting. So like for instance the Electrode that we got in Evolutions, or for older players the Holland's Energy, we're not going along those lines. We are talking energy cards here. So yes, some of them were cool little energy and that was all fun, but we're not going down that route, ladies and gentlemen. We are looking at proper energy cards. Now, there's been plenty of those, so we could sit here and do like 20 different honourable mentions. But we're going to do one honourable mention, and it is Boost Energy. Now, this did see a bit of play in, for instance, the old Gardevoir decks back in 2004. And essentially what it did was it provided free colourless energy, but only when attached to an evolved Pokemon, and it was discarded at the end of the turn it was attached. And then, of course, when you attach it, you're not able to retreat. It was very, very powerful in any decks that could use colourless energy. We can all think of a few that would be quite good nowadays. Fun little deck, ladies and gentlemen. Fun little card. Not the best one ever. Didn't quite make the list, but came in pretty strong anyway. Now, a huge thank you to the lovely Nick Pierce. Hey, Nick, who did talk through and help me to formulate this list. But in at number 5, and I feel good about the order here, but you could easily switch it around and I wouldn't be upset, except for number 1. In at number 5, Double Rainbow Energy. Now, like it might suggest, Double Rainbow Energy provides 2 of any energy. But as with most of the ones we're going to look at on this list, there was a catch. The catch is it can only be attached to an evolved Pokemon and could not be attached to Pokemon EX, which were the prevailing good Pokemon at the time. And any damage done by a Pokemon to which this is attached is reduced by 10. So it's got to be an evolved Pokemon. It's got to be a non-EX, and you do 10 less damage. But in decks like Queendom, for instance, which focused around an old Nidoqueen card that won the World Championships in 2005, it was absolutely wonderful and saw a lot of play. It also saw a little bit of play in the Empoleon deck, which did take Dylan Lefevre to the 2008 World Championships in the seniors division. It was one of those decks where if you're playing evolved non-EX Pokemon, it's a pretty good shout. Coming in at number 4, a card with which most of you will be more familiar. It's still in the format at the moment. It's Strong Energy. There's something I often say about the Pokemon trading card game, and that is that doing extra damage is always good. Strictly not entirely true, sometimes it can be bad, but generally speaking, doing extra damage is always good. And Strong Energy here, I mean, when it first came out, it was used with stuff like Landorus EX. Nowadays, it's used with stuff like Buzzwole GX. It's about to rotate, but any fighting deck, since this was released in Furious Fists, did get a reprint in Fates Collide, which was nice, but any fighting deck since this is released has to use this card. It's too gosh darn good not to. Now, I told you about Double Rainbow Energy, and I said that if you're using an evolved non-EX deck, it was amazing. It wasn't the best. That goes to Scramble Energy. Scramble Energy can only be attached to an evolved Pokemon that is not an EX. And if you are behind on prizes, it's free energy. Any free energy. That is absurd. Now, double rainbow can be used when you're even or ahead on prizes, but it's only 2 energy and it stops your attacks doing an extra 10 damage. This does not lower your attacks, but can only be used as a proper, treble energy card if you are behind on prizes. And the kind of decks that use Scramble energy are things like Empoleon that we saw earlier. And we did see Scramble energy seeing play in Gardevoir decks. Double rainbow energy and Scramble energy went very much hand in hand. They were good in decks that revolved around evolved, non-EX Pokemon. And there were so many good EXs back in the day that you kind of had to give a bit of love to the non-EXs. And these 2 special energy cards are the way in which they were done. It gave you a ridiculous advantage. It turned like Gardevoir and Empoleon into single-cost Pokemon. Of course, there are loads of examples of cards that use this Scramble energy. I like to focus on ones that did really well at the World Championships, but as always, do stick your suggestions down in the comment section. Let's talk about old cards. But in at number 2, a card which is both old and new. It was first released in the Team Rocket expansion, one of the very early expansions, back in the year 2000, 18 years ago. And it's still in the format today. It's Rainbow Energy. Rainbow Energy counts as any energy as long as you're willing to take 1 damage counter. We've seen it used with cards that move energy around. Think like the old Aromatisse or like Hydreigon. We've seen it used with a whole bunch of different tech cards. Think Jolteon and Glaceon in that Ninja Boy deck. We've seen it in so many different things. The interesting thing is that Rainbow Energy alone does not tell the whole story. We've actually had a whole bunch of different types of energy, which are essentially rainbow energy, and I want to mention them all here quickly. So we could put multi-energy in here. Now, multi-energy was a very similar thing. You didn't take the damage counter, but it only provided a colorless energy if a Pokemon already has special energy attached to it. And this was used in the Mew Trick deck with which Jason Glasinski won the World Championships back in 2006. Or we could talk about SP energy, which did the same thing, but there was no real downside other than the fact that it could only be attached to SP Pokemon, and back in the day when SP Pokemon like Luxray were ruling the format, this became a very nice card indeed. It's taken a few different forms, and it's the second best special energy card that we've ever had. But it's not number 1, ladies and gentlemen. You should have been able to guess number 1 as soon as I started this video. It's Double Colorless Energy, a card that has defined multiple formats. If we go back to the first ever best deck in format, it was the Haymaker deck revolving around cards including the Scyther from base set, which could do 30 damage for free energy, which, believe it or not, back then was really good. How was that possibly a good attack? Because we had Double Colorless Energy. Double Colorless Energy was printed in the Pokemon TCG base set. And it went away for a very long time. It was a very, very good card. And then it went away. There were several formats without it. And then it came back. And when it came back, Garchomp Sea Level X instantly became, this is in Heart Gold Soul Silver, the very best attacker in the Pokemon trading card game. People were playing Blaziken with Luxray. As soon as this was released, in came Garchomp. And it's been in the format ever since. We use it nowadays with Zoroark to give ourselves a great little advantage because it's such a good card. It makes Pokemon viable that would otherwise not be viable. Whether you're talking Scyther in the base set, Garchomp Sea Level X, which came out in Supreme Victors but saw almost no play until Double Colorless Energy was reprinted, or Zoroark GX, which, let's face it, I'm willing to say it out loud, would not be anywhere near as good if we didn't have Double Colorless Energy. Imagine not being able to use Ace Roller and then getting it going again in a single turn. No, ladies and gentlemen, Double Colorless Energy is the best special energy card we've ever had revealed, and I honestly don't think it's particularly close. I really do think it's head and shoulders above any other special energy card we've ever had released. I feel pretty good about this list, but I know that some of you watching this have been playing for a while, and now it's time for you to tell me in the comment section which cards you thought should be reordered and which cards you would add in. Just remember the rules. If you're putting a card up, you've got to put other cards down. If you're adding a card in, you've got to take other cards out. And of course, I will love you forever if you give a full top 10 list. Huge shout out to the lovely AJ Brass for supporting over at Patreon and requesting this video. Huge shout out to the lovely Nick Pierce for giving us a hand in formulating this list. And, you know, huge shout out to you, because you're still watching this, Phil, and I love that. So now, ladies and gentlemen, you know the deal. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at the Wossy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all of that, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And do make sure you're checking out Wossy Plays. I've just started doing Transformers TCG videos. That looks fun. We're doing Dragon Ball TCG videos, we're doing video game videos. It's a lot of fun. Go check it out. But by far the most important thing, as always, is to look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.